Hangout on there is live, and this Hangout on there is live. This video, I am trying to wrap my head around control templates. It's been a while because, well, I'm in love with WPF. I had a really unhealthy relationship with WPF. And, well, I've been going F# and this functional programming like full throttle. And now I'm getting back into XAML again. And so I need to basically train myself to get comfortable with control templates and its participation in data binding with view models. So this is me practicing and probably troubleshooting at the same time. And that's it. So if I share my screen, come here, let me share my screen. Yes. All right, share my screen. And I'm sharing my screen. So like I already have I could close out all these windows, and I have a app.xaml here, I have a page here, and I don't care about main page. What I want to do is I could create a new XAML page, and I could call this, I don't know, control template example. I don't know, something like that. And it's where am I at? Xamarin.Forms. Where's the content page at? Okay. Where's the content page at? User control. Oh, that's weird. Hold on. Let me go back. I expect to see. That was Windows Forms. Where's Xamarin.Forms is over here. Okay. So type in control template example, something like that. Okay, page. I'll just call it example page. And so I have this example page. And what I think I should do is there should be like a content view. Okay. And this content view can have a label in which the label text is hello world, something like that. And let's just make sure that I can run that before I move forward. So if I go to my app XAML, then there should be a example page. And if I attempt to run this on my emulator, then one would think that I would see a hello world get displayed. Else I have bigger problems. Come on, Android emulator. And well, the emulator's running, but I don't see a. Okay, there we go. Hello world. All right. So that's good. Now what? Well, next, what I want to do is I want to take it to the next step. And I want to say, all right, so I have a content view that's inside my content page, within a content view, I have a label called Hello World. All right, that's fine. What I want to do now is I want to create a view model, and I want to data bind a property of my view model to this label. So what that means is I want to do something like, what's this over here? This is a whole bunch of animals, right? Observable collection, last tabs. Yeah, so this might be fine right here. This view model, I could probably bind to that. And so I would take, instead of this label, I would take a list. Oh, shoot. Come here. I'll take a list view, and I would say item source equals binding. And I think the name of the property is called animals. This. And well, I need to set the binding context. How does this work? Shoot, how does this work? It's content page dot binding context, and somewhere it'll be like local dot view model, which I have to define the local namespace. Okay, so there should be like a XML namespace local, and it should be this samples over here. Okay, because that view model namespace is under samples, as we see right here. Okay. All right, so I have a content page whose binding context is a view model. I have a list view whose item source is animals. And if we look at our view model, this is the animals. This is of type observable collection. It has giraffe, lion, and tiger. So theoretically, I should be able to run this, and theoretically, it should just work. All right. Theoretically, it should just have a list view. It should have 3 entries in it. Let's see if this works or not. Yay, it works. Okay, so we got to that point. All right. Now, this video is supposed to be on control templates and me practicing so that I could like turn this into muscle memory, convert this into muscle memory. All right. So like, okay. Okay. Now what? Well, so now let's introduce this whole notion of a control template, right? So I say like this content page dot resources. Yes, come here. And well, content page dot resources, you don't have 2 dots, 1 dot, and you're going to have a resource dictionary. Yes, pendejo. Okay, so this resource dictionary, we should have something called like a control template. Yes, all right. And this control template, well, we probably need to set like some type of key, like key. Come here, key equals, and call it my control template. Yes. Okay. And my control template is going to have this list view in here. Or is it? How does this work? Do I take the whole content view? No. I think I just take this list view in here. And I'll do something like that. Okay. Now, this supposedly may need to be modified, but I'm just going to hold off right now. And so this content view, how does this work? Should have like a control template property in which I set it to a static resource of my control template. Okay. Okay. I could get rid of that and just do like that right there. Now what? Well, supposedly the documentation says that I can, this binding is supposed to say like template binding, and that this is supposed to be like parent dot animals like that. That's what the documentation says. At least that's what I interpreted from it. And then if we do that, then supposedly it says that we have this animals in our content page that's exposed, and we say that that equals binding um, animals like that. Now the question is, the question is, will this work even though we don't really establish our data binding until down here, which I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's smart enough to defer binding until it establishes the binding context in our XAML. I don't know. This is me like just practicing and recording live. But supposedly, this is supposed to map to this up here, if I understand it right. So, I mean, I could try it, and I'm willing to bet I'm probably going to get a runtime exception, but it's whatever. Oh shoot. Yep, that's what I expected. No bindable property or event found for animals, and it's saying line 7, right? Okay, so now what? So does that mean that if I, how does this work? If I look at the documentation over here, I could kill you. If I look at the documentation, I could kill you too. If I look at the documentation over here, they have they have on the page. Well, no, see, they have it right here. They use a binding context. Hold up. They use a binding context right here, but they do it right under the local namespace. Okay, so I'm not sure if that matters or not, but okay. So, and how they do this? They just say header text equals, and then they say binding header text. And I say animals equal binding animals. The difference is they do it right here, and then they have all this over here. Okay, so I can try that, and if I hit run, I still get the same error. No property bindable property or event found for animals. No, that is. Hmm. So this is where it's confusing to me because the documentation says that this should work. Control template. However, yeah, if we scroll up here, we see control template, and then we see template binding parent dot header text. So, and that's what I have over here. List view item source equals template binding parent dot animals. And so, like, hell's bells, what am I doing wrong? And I'll look at this person's stuff. This is supposed to be the sample, and they have their content page, and they have the class, and actually this comes their properties. Oh, hold up. Is that what I have to do? I think I understand. What they're doing is first we could revert back to what we had earlier. Okay. What what it looks like they're doing is within the code behind, it looks like I still have to define these bindable properties, or in WPF, dependable dependency properties in my code behind. Ah, okay. That's what it looks like I have to do in order for that to work. Okay. So if I copy paste this and then make alterations, yeah, that I think that is what I have to do. So if I go in here and oh, you, my friend, you can look like this. They should have this syntax by default. Well, no, they shouldn't. All right. So supposedly, la 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 la. Let me expand this. Supposedly, we have this is the page, header text, type of, well, this is called animals, type of observable collection, operates on type string. And I don't know what this argument right here is. What's this last argument? Default value. Oh, the default value is it's a empty collection. New. observable collection. String. Like that. Okay. And we call this animals property. And animals property. Like that. Property. And I think that's okay. And then next, it says that we got to define a getter. Okay. So we supposedly we do something like this. We say get animals property like that, and that is a observable collection of type string as observable collection type string. Why did I cap string? Type string. And doesn't like that. Why don't you like that? Get return. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, because I need to do it right here. Oh, shoot. All right, let's go back. Something like this. Hell bells. Hold up. Return. Let's take this. They have this right here. Return. Okay. And this is supposed to be animals. And that should probably be name of animals. Okay. And this is supposed to be of observable collection string. All right. Why doesn't it like this? Oh yeah, because up here. Ah, got it. Understand now. So okay, and then I can say get that as that. Okay, that makes sense. And theoretically, I should be able to get rid of this because I want to be cool, and I should be able to do that. Okay. 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 Now what? All right. So theoretically, that should resolve the error that I was getting before. Now, if I build that, then it should be happy, hungry, hungry hippos. And theoretically, this example, the XAML should just run. So if I launch this, then theoretically it should just work. All right, I don't have any debug errors yet, but I don't. Yeah, oh God, it does work. That is what's up. Oh, okay, good stuff. All right, so hold up, did I do this right? La la la. All right, so like I have my content view. Like okay, let's minimize distractions. Hold up, I thought Control-MO collapses everything. Okay, what does Control-ML do? Control-ML collapses everything. That's weird because in my C# editor, if I do Control-MO, it collapses all the nodes. If I do it again, maybe it doesn't. Control-ML expands. Control-MO collapses. If I put the cursor above that, Control-MO, whatever. So that's strange, right? Control-MO will collapse, but in here, in the XAML, when I try to do Control-MO, or let me do Control-ML, Control-ML expands everything, Control-MO doesn't work. That's strange. All right, anyway. So I have this content view that, oh yeah. I want to collapse everything. All right, so what just occurred? What just occurred is I have a content view element that basically is going to be the wrapper of my content on my content page. Can I say that differently? Okay. My content page can only have one root element, obviously, right? That root element can then have like a layout element or panel, whatever you want to call that stuff. All right. In this case, my root element is a content view. Within this content view, I can define all the guts that's going to represent my UI within this page. Okay. The actual UI I embed into this content view. Okay. However, that UI that I define is actually expressed as a control template. That control template is defined in my content page.resources element. Specifically, I have a control template in which I specify the key of it up here. And I say that this control template is going to basically be a list view. Okay. In order to reference that control template, which is called my control template, within my content view element, which is my root element of this content page, I specify the control template property of this content view. And I'll say content view.control template equals static resource my control template. Now, in order to make that work, what separates this from what separates the data binding of a control template versus the data binding of an arbitrary property of an element is that you have to use parents. Well, you have to use, instead of binding, you say template binding, and the actual path or property that you want to bound to, you have to say parent dot and then whatever property, right? My understanding is parent is actually going to refer to the visual element within the XAML. In this case, my understanding is parent is going to be the content page, right? And a property is going to be animals. So if we look at this over here, we say within our control template, list view is item source equals, instead of binding, we have template binding because it is a control template, right? So we say item source equals template binding, and we bind to the parent dot animals, in which the parent of this control template is the content page. And this content page has a property called animals, right? That's my understanding, okay? And this animals is defined as a bindable property within our code behind of this page, which we defined right here. So we defined our animals property in the code behind of this page. And we also have our getter over here, okay? And the result is this UI up here. And that is it. So to summarize, in order to do MVVM with a control template, you first need to create or define a content view, as I understand. That content view has a property called control template. You need to define your control template within your resource dictionary, whether it's at the application level or the page level, or if you throw it in another file, I guess that's okay too. Okay, but you need to define your control template, throw whatever elements inside your control template. Okay, in this case, I have a list view, and in order for MVVM to work, the data or the elements within your control template, even though ultimately they're going to be bound to a view model, in order for that to really take place, you have to use template binding. Your template binding is going to basically have a dependency on a parent dot whatever arbitrary property, right? That whatever dot arbitrary property is actually defined as a bindable property in your code behind, that within the XAML we do a binding to right here. So we say animals equal binding animals, right? That binding animals is based on our binding context, which is defined right here of our view model. Okay, so to go back, let me lower this some. To go back, this animals property of our content page is essentially what we defined in our code behind as a bindable property, which is this animals property right here. And this is the normal MVVM binding that we have, right? So this binding to animals is actually based on our view model. And because our view model instance is based on this binding context that we have in XAML, local.viewModel over here, then that enables us to bind to this observable collection in our view model called animals, which is right here, right? So our bindable property that we call animals, we actually bind that to our view model based on our binding context right here. And then for our control template to work, we say, hey, we have a list view or item source. We're going to do a template binding to our parents.animals property. And this is our parent, the content page. And the content page exposes an animals property. All right, I think that synced in, okay? And it looks like it works. So that's good therapy for me. That's what's up. Let me terminate this sharing, and yeah. So that's Xamarin.Forms, control template, data binding stuff, and I'm out. I'm a functional programmer, or at least that's what I'm aspiring to be, specifically F#. I love XAML. I originally worked on my certification in WPF, migrated that to Windows Store Apps, migrated that again to Xamarin.Forms, and yeah, you can catch me. I'm available for hire. Scott Nimrod. I'm in Miami, Florida. I can work remote. Test automation, functional programming. Obviously, that code was in object-oriented programming, unfortunately, via C#. And Xamarin. Oh, all right, that's it. Peace.